Mark Latham and I discuss often on this program the future of our children. If we fail them in the classroom, we are betraying them. I asked a very talented young man fresh out of a good school, doing well at university, to get me the result of a race at Moruya. He looked at me as if I'd sent him to the moon. Young people being educated know nothing about our geography, our history, or our literature. These young Australians have spent years at school being told that the country they were born in is founded on genocide and racism, and that the biggest issue we face is man-made climate change, and a voice to the Constitution. Yet the same young Australians, if we don't rapidly change direction, will be left with a country that can't manufacture anything, including, as I told you last week, a piece of paper, because our politicians have vandalised our power grid with weather-dependent wind turbines and solar panels and held back our industries in the name of green environmentalism. Well, now it looks like thousands of young Australians are being indoctrinated by the Chinese Communist Party at your funded education centres. This is not an exaggeration. According to recent media reports, young children right across the country are learning how to speak and read Chinese from textbooks that are written by Chinese government officials at taxpayer-funded community language centres. Can you believe this stuff? A Chinese immigrant from Melbourne broke the story, Emily's son, who thought she'd escaped the grip of the Chinese Communist Party by fleeing to Australia 20 years ago. She says her son is being influenced by Chinese propaganda during classes at her local community language centre. For instance, the textbooks her son studies from assert that the South China Sea and Taiwan belong to China. They falsely characterise China as a democracy. The textbooks credit the Chinese Communist Party as the editor of the textbooks. In fact, a letter from the Chinese consulate says that, quote, model schools of Chinese education, unquote, in Australia, which is the term Beijing uses to describe these language schools, model schools, they must support one China policy and oppose any anti-Chinese government behaviour. The infiltration is so bad that these model schools are even subjected to regular checks by Chinese consular officials, leaving the Chinese government with ultimate control of the education of thousands of young Australian children. What's the cherry on the top? The Victorian government subsidises 31 of these schools. So there you have it. We're so asleep in this country that the taxpayer, that's you, is subsidising classes where our children are having Chinese Communist Party propaganda shoved down their throats, all monitored by Chinese consulate officials. Can you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot? Would the Chinese allow Australians to move to their country and set up English language classes where children were taught about the virtues of Western civilization, Christianity, and our commitment to our American, British, Japanese, and Taiwanese allies? Of course not. The Chinese would have it shut down faster than a pro-democracy protest in Hong Kong. How many times have I said it? Wake up, Australia. The damage to our country is being done in the classroom.